come once again to discuss things.
Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal Sick Part 2 here with my good fiend Morg Jeftic for another creepisode of Ghouly Gentlemen.
Hi everyone, I do a pretty good Crypt keeper. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am here with Milan Jeftic 1992, and today we will be discussing the first season of Tales from the Crypt, the HBO series, based on the EC comic books. How's it going, Milan?
It's going good. I was gonna go with a creepy voice myself, but then I thought, no, I'm creepy enough by myself, so what's up?
Creepy on his own.
Yeah.
You could just write a Tales from the Crypt comic just about Milan's life.
It's rather depressing how true that is.
Okay, anyway, so, this was kind of like a random last-minute topic choice, because I didn't have anything else. I'd completely forgotten it was my topic, which happens very rarely to me, at least. So we just had to come up with something, and I've always had kind of like a nostalgia, I guess, for Tales from the Crypt, even though I didn't watch it too often, but that's because I wasn't allowed to. Like, I remember my brother had stolen HBO, like, you know how you could, like, cross the wires or whatever and get free cable channels.
Yep, to explain to all the children how we had to hack the television to get things of quality.
Yeah. So, like, I remember my brother had, stolen HBO for us, and, like, my mom would not let me watch Tales from the Crypt, but he would watch it all the time. Like, he would always be checking it out just because it was on HBO, and he'd be watching HBO all the time. And Cinemax. Or as it's properly called, Skinmax. But, yeah, so he'd, like, always have HBO on, and it was the fact that I was not allowed to watch this show that just made me always try to gravitate toward it. So I have, like, these really vague memories about, you know, the Crypt Keeper and some of the stories. I think in one of the seasons there's, like, something with the labyrinth and the Minotaur, the Greek myth thing. But I have always had that, like, connection to Tales from the Crypt in the back of my head. And so I bought the seasons, or a couple of the seasons on DVD just from finding them in stores over the years. And, I figured it'd be fun to talk about Tales from the Crypt because it has that connection to comic books that I didn't even know existed until I read up on the history of the show.
Yeah, how I got introduced by this is just me researching comic book history and realizing what this was and reading some of the original issues. And when you find out there's a show about this whole horror comic thing, and it's one of it's so fucking cheesy. I watched a few episodes here and there throughout the series of my life, but I actually sat down and properly watched them, you know, a week or so ago. And I gotta say, it's that level of cheese that's just like it's so weird because it's a very American brand type of cheese. And you don't get that type of cheese anywhere else. It's it's early 90s cheese, too. Not early.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of
late
schlocky.
80s, early 90s.
Yeah, late 80s, that schlock.
Yeah, that's the word for it. It is schlock, but in the best way possible. Because, like, this show just perfectly captures that like, over-the-top horror atmosphere, and, like, some of the acting is really bad, but you just don't care because you're just immediately engulfed in whatever weird situation they put up. And, you know, it's only a half-hour episode, so obviously characters end up saying their motivations as opposed to, you know, naturally forming them and everything. But it's you don't care because it's just such an interesting little thing. And Tales from the Crypt is just one of those series that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind, and I don't know, it's one of those things I don't think about it constantly, but every so often just Tales from the Crypt pops up in my head for one reason or another. And of course, there are some great fucking puns.
Definitely. Like, if there were, like, who knew that the glory of puns will be continued on by an animatronic talking corpse?
There was, I guess we're gonna get derailed sooner than I had anticipated. At one point, Bobby and I wanted to make a movie where, like, we both died in the first, like, 10 minutes, and then we went to hell, but, like, hell was just this line outside of a nightclub. So, like, actually, no, hell was a nightclub, but they only let in certain people, and so, like, everyone else was just kind of standing in line trying to get into hell. And so he and I finally get to the bouncer. The bouncer tells us we're not evil enough to get into hell, but we weren't good enough to get into heaven. So we go back to Earth as, like, ghosts and try to commit sins to get into hell, but, like, so we're trying to, like, kill somebody so that we can get into hell. But we kept inadvertently just helping people commit suicide, which doesn't count. Like the bureaucracies of hell here. And eventually we do some shit that gets us sent to hell, and throughout the whole movie we've been telling puns, and we finally get into hell, and the hell's just like a room with the Crypt Keeper, and all he does is just tell puns, and it's like, that would have been the big joke of the movie. It's actually really fucking annoying. I
actually want to see that now. Maybe we can, like, yeah, it's funny, it sounds hilarious.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be like an angel was gonna be the bad guy and everything. It was gonna be great.
Really Garth Fantasy, I get it.
Yeah, but no, so Crypt Keeper's been something that's kind of like in the back of my head, and I don't know, I've just always had kind of a nostalgia for Tales from the Crypt, just as that, like, that forbidden fruit kind of thing for me. And so yeah, I figured we'd talk about the episodes and of the first season, which is what we really do on this show. Is we'll just talk about the first season of a show and talk about how that represents the show on the whole for the most part. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. So how do you think we should go about this one? Should we go issue or episode by episode, or do you want to talk about some of the history of how the show got formed, or what?
No, it's all up to you, bro.
Yeah, before we get in the episodes, let's go ahead and talk about the history of it, because I have the DVD for season 1, and there's this interesting documentary about how it, like how EC Comics formed, and eventually how the show got put into production and everything, because, I mean, you look at some of the names, particularly in the first season, and it's like fucking Richard Donner's on that, on the directing list. That's crazy.
Yeah, you know, it's so weird, because you always get these famous people going towards this schlocky, like, almost comic booky material, because
well, I mean, it is a comic book, is the crazy part.
Yeah, it is, and it's the fun part of it, because you'd be surprised, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger actually fucking directed an episode, and it was surprisingly good. Like, it was just like, god damn, that's really poignant.
Yeah. Well, like, the comics really did push the label. They're the first one to really do the horror comics, which, like, even crazier than that, the guy who's, like, really famous for running EC, his father had basically coined the term comic book, and, was there at the creation of not DC Comics, but, creation of DC Comics characters. And then he went off to create his own comic book company, and it wasn't doing very well because they were just they were following all the trends. You know, they were doing the teen books and the Western books and all that stuff. They were following the trends, and then his father passed, and they needed someone in the family to take over the business and try to get it moving again. So the guy that really became associated with EC Comics took over, and he just started having them write horror, and he was one of the first publishers to let the creators kind of do whatever they wanted with the book, and that's where we got, just a lot of this really interesting art style and really great storytelling to come into it. They did a number of books, not just Tales from the Crypt and horror stuff. They did like some preachy books, and one of them that they showed was like this astronaut goes to a planet, and it's very Star Trek. It goes to a planet of robots, and some of the robots are orange and other robots are blue, and the blue robots are like second-class citizens. They gotta like sit in the back of the bus and all this other stuff. And the astronauts are there to determine if the robot society is advanced enough to join the United Federation or whatever. And at the end, he decides that they are not, and the last page is of the astronaut with his helmet off, and it's a black guy.
Yeah.
And so, the company was just really crazy ahead of its time, and that's actually the last comic book that EC published, because they did it without the Comics Code Authority.
Funny enough, that's what they said. Like when the censors saw that, like, you can't have him be a black guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Right?
And then they said, like, okay, he can be a black guy after a whole lot of haranguing. It's like, okay, but you got to remove the beads of sweat off his skin. Okay. Why?
It's one of those crazy things, just the racism of the time and everything. But yeah, so EC was just this company that had a lot going for it, that was ahead of the curve, and because of all the violence and over the top gore that they put into their books, everything else pushed that gore on their books too, and so then it had to amp it up even more, which is what got pretty ridiculous. And that, it's what happens, and then the whole Comics Code Authority started to crack down on them and everything, and it was, it's just one of those crazy events that happen in comic books and history, and so the Comics Code Authority really cracked down on them, and they had to quit publishing after a while, but, they'd already established a pretty big fan base, and that's, fans of that show becoming successful in the entertainment medium, like Richard Donner, is why we get this show eventually, because originally they intended to create a Tales from the Crypt anthology movie, but instead they just decided to create a television show, and that's where this comes from. And it's just such a brilliant origin, and I don't know, I think Tales from the Crypt and EC Comics and everything is just a really interesting story in and of itself. One of the other things they did in that documentary is they showed this one bit where this butcher was selling spoiled meat to increase his profits.
Yeah.
And like a little kid, or like his son, was eating over at another kid's house, and the butcher's like, "Oh no, not that house! I sold them the spoiled meat." And so then the kid dies, and the guy's wife is like, "You killed him, it's your fault!" And then the next panel that they show is like the wife in the butcher shop, and she's like butchered her husband and has him sitting out on has like the parts of him sitting out on the stand. She's like, "Spoiled meat? Would anyone like some spoiled meat?" That's the end of the story. It's, wow, that's really good. There's, that bitter, ironic twist of fate in the comic books that carries over here like crazy.
The funny thing is, the Tales from the Crypt stories are surprisingly, they're just like Grimm's fairy tales in a weird way, because if you look at traditional folklore and fairy tales, they're really fucking dark, and this type of shit happens all the time. Like, oh, you fuck up, fate will deal you a hand worse than fate, worse than death or something, And it's
yeah. Like, you don't fuck around because the universe will get you back. Kind of thing.
It will get you back hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird things where, the bitter, poetic ironies of how these characters die and stuff. It's always really interesting to see that come together. You gotta respect it. It's fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get into the show. So that's just the history behind it. And I personally find that kind of stuff fascinating, though. Just how a show like this gets made. And, like, honestly, I wish the show was a little bit more like the original comics in that, like, you know, they do the HBO thing to show all the gore, and I'm fine with that. I don't like the amount of sex in it, though, because I find a lot of it really unnecessary. But also that it's just kind of, you know, makes it less likely that a kid will be able to see it and be able to enjoy it, because I mean certainly I was able to, but like I said, part of it was that my mom forbade me from watching it, and that was one of the big reasons. So I wish there hadn't been as much, you know, sex in it when it was necessary to the story, like in one of the episodes of the first season. Sure, that's fine, but it's when it's just there to, you know, show off. That's a little pointless to me. Yeah, let's go ahead and just start talking about the first episode of the series, though, unless you had anything else you wanted to say about the comics to screen origin kind of thing.
I don't know. You go see the documentary. It's a lot of fun. The history of VC Comics is just a delightful history to know.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, we're fucking dorks. Let's move on.
Yeah. So the first episode is The Man Who Was Death, and that's a cool title, if nothing else. What are your general thoughts on this episode before we get into anything else, since I've been talking a lot?
The poor man's Shawshank Redemption. No,
Except not?
No, the Green Mile, that's it.
Yeah, the poor man's The Green Mile. There you go.
Yeah. But, like, in the best way possible. We have, like, this fucking southern talking dude with a fedora talking about how he likes to kill people in a very leisurely, cool kind of way. And it's so delightfully poor man's 80s. I love it. It's working class, blue-collar fellow, an electrician who fries criminals for the prison. Like, he's the executioner, essentially.
Yeah. And that's interesting, and so, like, there's a little bit of politics, or not a little bit, but it's quite a big plot point, the whole idea of the death penalty and like getting its way in here, and I think that's like a big thing that EC did, is they pushed political and social issues, which, if you haven't watched the Disney episode, I'm a fan of the company's doing. And so, like, it brings up this whole political question of, is the death penalty like an actual form of justice, or is it just something that people do because they really just want to kill other people and they want to justify it? And so, like, there's that element to it, which is really fun to look into as well, on top of just, you know, the kind of cruel little electricity puns and twists of fate that he does. And I mean, the actor's pretty good. I have a hard, like, you look at that guy and he kind of looks like Woody Harrelson, or Harrelson. I never remember how to say that dude's name. They look a lot alike.
Kind of looks like that dude. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but I remember what he's known for. All right.
Matthew McConaughey.
That's the one.
This is the same actor that played the president in Iron Man 3. I can't remember the actor's name, but that's him. No, like, have you ever seen Natural Born Killers? Woody Harrelson, you know him?
No, I've never seen that movie.
Alright, he was in Now You See Me. He's been in a bunch of shit. But anyway, yeah, he looks like Woody Harrelson in this, so I was wondering if it was like a stage name or something, but nope, it's a completely different actor. They just happen to look alike in 1989.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
God runs out of faces.
Indeed. But it's just so, like, killing people with electricity might be fun, but it's never that fun on the receiving end.
Yeah. I don't know, like, what do you think of, like, the social commentary aspect, the political commentary that they go on with it?
I don't really see much. Oh, there's kind of a blue-collar man time in the early 80s view of execution. People, this country started going downhill before they stopped, after they stopped hanging people, that whole spiel. And then like,
well, no, like I kind of saw like a whole the only reason we have the death penalty is because these people just want an excuse to murder people.
no, I guess that's a simple like, interpretation, but I think you're looking a little bit. Well, I guess that's a part of it, but personally, I'm like, yeah, there is that aspect, but the people who enjoy killing, like stare into a man's eye before you pull the trigger, essentially. It's always fun when you're pulling the switch, but on the receiving end, it's never that fun because he talks about they always scream, they always do this, they always do that. He's talking about all these different aspects of a man, these stages of grief that a man goes through before you kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is in there, but I don't know, I saw like an element of, this guy's really just like a serial killer, he's just on the right end of the law, and so as soon as they make it illegal, he's got to find a way to fulfill that need for himself, and so he goes out and finds a different excuse to kill. It's like, these people are criminals, they should have gotten fried anyway, so I'm just going to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I think that it's a level of just, people who do this want to kill, so they're just looking for an excuse, and that, like, I think that's the kind of message that they're trying to send across. Because, like I was saying, it's Tales from the Crypt. It has always had a bit of a political edge to it all. It's always been a part of what's gone on with that company. So, I definitely see something there. I don't know how much I agree with it, but I still find the interpretation there, if nothing else. But also, just on a story level, I thought it was a pretty good episode too, because it's the guy's got arc and opportunity for change very early on, and he decides not to change, and just goes on and does his thing.
Yeah.
Anything else about the political side, or do you want to just go full into the story?
Let's go into the story.
Okay. You talk. I keep talking. You be the one to talk. God damn it.
You talk for a bit. And
No, fuck you. I've been talking. God damn it.
Oh, I've been putting on my dad's shirt. Sorry.
This is why we need 3 people, god damn it.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
Anyway. No, like, I like the story element here of just how the guy's opportunity for change is there right at the very beginning. He can either, not kill people, go try to find an actual job, or he can, find his excuse for killing people again, and it's like, the laws may have changed, but, I still need to be the one delivering justice, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're just a fucking serial killer.
Yeah, and it's interesting when that happens, when you have that kind of, poor man excuse for, I'm doing something just and right. That's why Batman doesn't really work in the real world, because it's just like, there's too many opportunities for you to just, like, point out the flaws in his logic, and I'm like, yeah, you talk a lot, but you're still kind of a killer, and the people you kill are assholes, but it's just like, how
that doesn't change who you are, what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, is the Punisher just a fucking lunatic with a gun? Like, there's some interpretations of him, of just like, basically, there's an interpretation of the Punisher that when he lost his family, that was just an excuse for him to kill people. That's been brought up.
Oh yeah, like Punisher Max.
Yeah, it's like, you don't give up. Like, your family is... I'm echoing.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Okay, but hello? No, okay, I'm not hearing myself. But essentially, yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like, he's not crazy, or is he? He has that. He's too blue collar to point out correctly. It's like, maybe he's not stupid. It's an interesting little character piece. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it's just like seeing 80s people, or how people saw each other in the 80s or early 90s through that schlocky pop culture lens. It's fascinating seeing that, You see how the world saw itself through its trashy media.
No, but yeah, I see what you're saying there with the whole fuck, I completely lost my train of thought. With the parallel to Punisher. It's one of those things where, like, I totally caught that Punisher stuff, too, because you have that, oh, it's a vigilante that goes out and kills people. I'm like, yeah, this is who the Punisher is to a lot of people. Like, Manos doesn't like the Punisher because he says he's just a murderer. I'm like, yeah, he is just as bad as the people he's killing, and I think he's accepted that.
Yep.
This guy clearly hasn't.
Yeah, because it's one of those hypocritical things, like, yeah, I'm doing a good thing. Why don't you shoot them in the fucking head? Why do you must go to all these extreme carnival Joker-esque killing things? I mean, just simple, like, when you're putting effort into the creative parts of your murder, and you're like, oh, I'm going to kill him this way and that way, and theatricality is all good and, all good and all, but, like, if you want to kill somebody, just do it. And get rid of the... Yeah. Be as practical as you possibly can. This guy put some artistry into his killing. And don't... Like, I don't... It's not like I don't...
Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing, though.
And not that I don't appreciate it. Like, I appreciate the artistry, but at a certain point, you're like, dude... Come on.
Yeah, but, like, I think the thing that the character doesn't understand is that murder is always justifiable to the person that's doing it. Like, everyone that kills a person or whatever, the reason to them makes sense at the time. Obviously there are exceptions and everything when someone's, like, completely out of their mind, doesn't know what they're doing. Sure, yeah, whatever. But, like, if you're going to intentionally kill someone, there's justification in your head that makes sense to you. It's just, and he doesn't see that. He doesn't see that he's doing the exact same thing that all these people he's killed for the state have done. And so that's a really fascinating thing, where it's just, he's looking in the mirror, but he doesn't see himself.
Yeah, he's got that working blue-collar arrogance about him.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm not one of those high-strung politicians. I'm there. I'm right in the front of it. I look the people in the face when I do it. And, I know what's really right, blah, blah, blah. That's totally what's going on with this guy. So it's just really interesting character thing. There's some great political commentary on the death penalty, too. No matter which side of the aisle you're on it. There's some interesting perspectives there, I think.
They kill a black man in the first scene.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I like the opening song. It's got kind of like a carnival-y feel. Anything else to say about this episode before we go on?
It's wonderfully schlocky.
Yes, that's kind of like the given for all of these episodes. Or all of the series, for that matter. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to episode 2, and All Through the House. And this is the one that the original, like, EC Comics guy, like, got to watch and help decide the direction on a little bit. This is the one with Santa Claus, of course. And, anytime you make Santa Claus a murderer, you have my full support. Because it's fucking creepy for people to come into your house in the middle of the night.
No, it's not, you silly boy. It's not creepy at all.
Okay then, Juan, you say so.
Yeah,
you're the one that gets your ice cream stolen by crackheads, so I suppose I have your word on this.
Yeah, well, I steal it back eventually. I sneak into their house at night and steal all their ice cream.
I wasn't aware that crackheads had houses.
Well, more like hovels and abandoned buildings, but it's all the same.
And they keep ice cream there.
Oh, definitely.
Excellent.
They just steal a fridge and fill it with stolen ice cream like the fucking subhuman vermin that they are.
Okay. Maybe you should rig up elaborate ways to electrocute them to death.
Nah, I'll just slowly lower them in tubs of acid or something like that. Something simple.
Oh, yeah. Because, everyone's got a tub of acid just lying around.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but, this just got wacky. Anyway, and All Through the House has the Santa Claus episode. This is the episode that the EC Comics guy, I should look up his name real quick.
Wood something, Ryan Wood or whatever.
It's, Bill, maybe?
Man with a beard who's dead now.
Yeah, EC Comics CEO, or whatever. William Gaines, that sounds right. Yeah, William Gaines got to help produce this episode, or like I think he got to like look over the episode and before they did reshoots on it. And like, you know, his was the whole thing where the lady's screaming her head off by the end of it, and like he watched the original cut and goes, no, in this last shot she should be screaming her head off. And then that's kind of like this is the original pilot episode. And so that's kind of what they went for the rest of the series was using this episode as more or less like the standard to try to measure up to. And it's not like the best episode ever or anything, but it is really the formula for Tales from the Crypt in a lot of ways, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. And like the Crypt Keeper is so delightful.
Oh, I love the Crypt Keeper.
It is. It's awful, but it's brilliant. How I really got introduced to I heard of the TV show, but my first actual watching of it was the cartoon, that werewolf.
What? There's Tales from the Crypt cartoon?
Yeah, there's two.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The first Crypt Keeper type of rendition I saw ever was this rather creepy cartoon where somebody drinks tea and turns into a werewolf.
Yeah.
And to fight a bully, and it's surprisingly dark. Like, it's just like this fucking bully's walking home from school, and this fucking rather well-animated werewolf tries to rip his throat out. And it's just like, this is a fucking cartoon, Jesus Christ. It's been a while since I watched it, but, you know, years, like nearly half a decade, but I still remember it. My first thing I ever saw when I came to Australia. But, yeah, this episode is fucking delightful.
Yeah, just like there's that you can tell this is kind of like their standard episode or whatever, because, like, you know, you have a person who does something wrong, and like I was saying earlier, everyone's got a reason for doing their shit, but it's still shit that you did. Like, you have a person that does something wrong, and then something like just 10 times worse happens to them because of it. Like this lady, she kills her husband, and then because of that, she's out in the snow, and that's what enables the Santa Claus killer to go after her and stuff.
Yeah, because the thing is, with good stories like this, you have to, like, if you have just the character, if you have the woman be a good person, you'd feel bad for her when the crazy Santa Claus man comes after her. You know, like, oh my god, there's a woman and her child trapped in a house. And, like, if it's just that, it's just a horrifying thing and it's not fun. But when the fucking lady did something horrible, like, hey, I stuck a fucking thing into my husband's head, I killed him. Sure, she's I hate to use this word, like a nuanced character. She has a daughter, she loves her. But she also hates her husband and she kills him.
Yeah. And, like, it's interesting because you look at, like, slasher movies, and that's all this really is it's kind of like a short slasher movie where there's just only, you know, one victim. But, like, it has all the same tropes of a slasher movie.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and it's often something that I wish slasher movies would realize when they're doing this really formulaic stuff is, no, quit it. Make, like, the people that the killer's going after actually bad instead of just, you know, slutty or kind of jerks. Make them, like, actually bad people, and then it can actually be interesting.
Yeah, because then people can, like, cheer for the deaths of their fellow humans on screen and not feel bad about it.
Well, not just that. It's just, like, the deaths, they're not people. Even if they're bad people, they're at least people, as opposed to, like, these reused, recycled characters. Like, okay, it's the stoner, it's the slut. Like, you know, fucking, we did Cabin in the Woods. You know exactly what the formula is for a slasher flick.
Yeah, my little brother loves that fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, you know exactly what the formula is for a slasher flick, and it's the jock, it's the sweet virgin girl, and then there's the slut, and then there's the stoner, and yada, 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 yada. I was like, yeah, come on, maybe actually use real people and make them bad people. So that way, you know, when they die, it's actually kind of not the worst thing ever. It's like, you know, it makes the movie interesting and complex.
Yeah, it actually justifies the slasher being turned into a hero in his own right. You know how
Yeah.
over time the fucking slasher became the fucking hero of his own franchise. It's like, oh, he's like the greatest anti-hero. He butchers young people because we hate those.
Mm-hmm. And like for certain things that wouldn't work, like one of the things I didn't really care for the Friday the 13th reboot, but I like that at least they kept Freddy to be a fucking pedophile. You know, I was happy that they kept that they didn't like, because all the other horror movies, instead of trying to make the people that the killer is going after worse, have just tried to make him like, you know, misunderstood or like, you know, actually a good person, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, Freddy's a fucking pedophile, and he's a disgusting person, and that's why they fucking, you know, got together and burnt him alive.
Yeah. But it's so weird, because it's like, Patrice O'Neill talked about this a while ago. He's dead now, R.I.P. But it's just like, sometimes you just want to see a fucking villain. You want to see a monster. You want to see a well-portrayed bad guy. And, like, nuance in your characters is fun, but there's a difference between the nuance of, oh, he's not, like, making you sympathetic for the guy, there's one thing, and having a good bad guy. You know, like, you just need a good fucking bad guy. I hate to keep bringing this up. It's the most obvious choice, but the Joker, like, he's just a fucking.
He's just an evil son of a bitch.
Yeah,
he's doing it because he wants to be an evil son of a bitch.
And it's entertaining. That's entertaining when you do it honestly and have fun with it, and not like, oh, but he was molested as a kid. You know, he fucking chopped up that 18-year-old girl with a machete. Sorry. Oh, he got diddled in when he was some fucking guy touched his dick when he was a kid. He stabbed that girl through the face. That does not justify. You know what the fuck? Like, it's bad writing, man. Just have a bad guy be a bad guy, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, if what you're doing isn't actually interesting, if you're just doing it to try to, you know, make your audience care about your character, I'm like, well, no, if it's not interesting, they're not going to care anyway. If it's trite and cliche, they're going to roll their eyes at it, so just fucking either make him a bad guy or make him actually interesting.
Yeah.
And I think this does a good thing. I mean, I don't know a damn thing about the Santa Claus character, except that he escaped from a mental institution. It's cliche as shit, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like a Jaws movie where the suspense keeps building and building to see if he's going to manage to get in the house, and then there's that scene where he's crawling up the side of the roof and the little girl is trying to help him get in. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's good fucking writing right there.
It is. You know, it's just like, people forget that they're, like, telling a story. There's certain parts you can do. There's certain aspects of certain cliche things you can do well that will make the story actually entertaining. Everyone wants to do this fucking really serious and artistic expression of Everyone wants to make anyone who's a young filmmaker wants to make an artsy-fartsy movie about the soul. I'm like, for fuck's sake, make something actually interesting and entertaining that will get you work as a filmmaker, because there's nothing wrong with artsy-fartsy nonsense. It's just, you can't just...
If that's all you got, then yeah.
You gotta, like, fucking throw a fucking action movie trope in there. Have them, I don't know, synthesize a fucking bomb and shove it into a dragon's asshole or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. It's one of those things about the whole horror genre. And, like, that's the thing is, like, horror, ever since Saw, everything's just become torture porn. And I'm like, no. What's interesting about, like, watching, you know, a gory flick where someone dies is not the death itself. It's that the death is surprising or unexpected, or that it's, like, it's built up to. You know, like, a slasher flick isn't good if, you know, the person's having a conversation, then a knife just goes through their head. What makes a slasher flick good is watching the person avoid the killer over and over and over again until he finally gets them. That's the suspense, the drama of it all, as the person tries to get away. And so just this whole, like, just torture porn thing is just so stupid.
I think it's petered out now. Like, it peaked at about like the mid 2000s, and then it's just like, yeah, everyone caught on to it, and after Hostel,
Yeah, but now we've gone to just like really shitty movies where all it is build up with no payoff, like Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, like Paranormal Activity is just like it's like the first one was okay. I jumped, but like I never seen any of the sequels. But the horror movies are fun. They're not fun, well, depending on the horror movie, but they're cheap. That's the word I was looking for. They're cheap to make. And
yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like it's so stupid to base an entire movie off anticipation alone, and it's stupid to base a movie entirely off of gore and nothing else. You need a nice blend of the two. You need to be able to set up suspense and anticipation in your film, but you also need to be able to pay it off to a certain respect.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You have to have every single part plays its role in the conclusion. You know, beginning, middle, and end, or you can play it, like, that's the thing. Nobody knows the basics of filmmaking anymore. Everyone's gone to film school, and they love to point out all the tropes. Like, the trope, that's a trope, that's a trope. But they don't fucking, like they don't do anything. Like, it's just, yeah, like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, people who fail at film school become internet reviewers.
That's not exactly true, but okay.
Yeah.
I should ask Bill's thoughts on that. Oh, sick burn. Alright, is there anything else you want to say about All Through the House? Like, it's not, there's not a ton to say. It's a really basic story. Lady kills her husband, tries to get rid of the body, there's an evil Santa Claus killer out, and he gets in the house and kills her.
I like the set design and all these, like, they utilize the space in every shot. Like, it looks good. Like, you can obviously tell it's on a soundstage or whatever. It's a
yeah, the snow like stays in her hair too long and stuff like that. But yeah,
but
like
still,
you can tell it's fake snow because it stays in her hair and doesn't melt.
It's true, but it's still kind of like it utilizes the frame. It fills it up with things like that tell you a story. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, there's a Christmas tree. It's very compact, but it works. It
gives you everything you need right away.
Yeah, it knows what it is, and it's not ashamed of it.
Yeah, and it's really just bare bones simple, and like you can see why this is the standard. There, this is essentially the show's Bible. You know, this is how an episode works, and you can break this if your story is good, but this is what you're writing around. This is your formula. Now make it work. And like I think using this as a Bible, you could still make new Tales from the Crypt episodes today. Like, I hear that the show kind of like got too ridiculous and petered out and got kind of shitty by the end of it. And like, I'm sure after 7 seasons anything does. I'm watching through fucking Star Trek: The Next Generation right now, for Christ's sake. But
how
like,
many space gods so far?
Oh, they did eliminate that problem by just creating one in Q. For the most part, there are a couple where it's like, yeah, that's a space god, but they just created Q, and he just shows up every so often. By the way, my new thing that I'm going to say anytime I hear someone say that Star Trek is more scientific than Star Wars is this: fuck Q. Anyway, no, but like, you know, after 7 seasons, anything could go. It would eventually go wrong. But like, I think you could bring the show back and do like, you know, maybe 13 episodes a year, and space them out. Don't do like a full 13 week thing. Do like, you know, 1 episode a month plus like a Christmas special or something. Or Halloween special, probably. One of the guys that helped market the show had this really ambitious thing to do with Crypt Keeper, and I think he almost made it happen. His thing was, there is no reason that the Crypt Keeper cannot be for Halloween what Santa Claus is for Christmas.
That's true.
And I'm like, you got close, man. You got really close.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been an HBO show, I think he could have done it.
Yeah. Because it works because it's a fucking talking corpse that makes puns. I mean, that's fun for all the family.
Mm-hmm. And especially as Halloween has become a more mainstream, more commercial holiday over the last couple of years, I think it could happen. I think you could bring back Tales from the Crypt now, do shorter seasons, maybe do 40-minute episodes. I think you could make it happen. I think
Tales from the Crypt Netflix show.
No, because like the thing about Netflix is you want it all at once, and one of the beauties of Tales from the Crypt is just how episodic it is. Like Netflix,
it's very
I mean,
TV. Netflix's new generation. Tales from the Crypt is very schlocky television, and putting it on Netflix just kind of negates the whole point of it.
Not necessarily. I mean, I'd love for them to upload it to Netflix, but if you're going to do an original series, you should probably actually air it. Probably shouldn't be on Netflix.
Like just maybe like the first season, like after a year or so, put it on Netflix like anything else. But I get it. Yeah.
I think it would do better if it was on actual television. Not that there's anything wrong with Netflix. I just think that television. Broadcast television, there's a better word as opposed to actual television. I think broadcast television is just a better place for it. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the third episode of the season, which was Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, in which we are given the fantastic science in which a man proves that cats not only have literally 9 lives, but a gland in their brain makes that ability transferable. So, good shit.
That's science, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, I don't know why the scientific community had to debate this for so long. I mean, it's so obvious.
I know, right? I've actually implanted quite a few glands into the brain of a monkey. I can't kill it.
Okay, Jebediah. Whatever happened to Jebediah Springsteen?
He just got assimilated into my overall personality.
Oh man, I miss Jebediah Springsteen.
Well, dude, watch one of my videos. It's called "I Want a Girlfriend So Fucking Bad."
I watched it. It was not Jebediah Springsteen.
No, but it was fun though.
Yeah, but it wasn't Jebediah Springsteen. I miss Jebediah Springsteen.
If you write yeah.
If I write a script, you'll do it.
I will.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm now filled with Jebediah Springsteen ideas. Anyway, Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone is like, it is, like you were saying, Milan, this is pure schlock and nothing else. It is the dumbest fucking premise ever, and it just totally goes with it and has a lot of fun, and it's just fucking fun to watch, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, this does not have any political or social commentary or anything. This is just a stupid idea that they have fun with, and that's what makes it so fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah. But damn, is it not just the best thing in the world?
Yeah, I mean, it's got the classic ironic payoff thing where it's like, oh no, I realized that I only have 8 lives because the cat died once. Clever.
Yeah.
It's a really cleverly written thing. It's just a really stupid idea, and that's kind of the fun of it. It's just, like, if you can't get past that, if you can't get past the, cat literally has 9 lives, and that's the quote-unquote science part of the science fiction, then yeah, it's not for you, but that's kind of the charm of it. It's got that, like... Alright, so when I was in elementary school... I remember, I'm not sure if this is going to be embarrassing or not, but okay, fuck it. Like, when you're a kid, you just, in your mind, magic and science are the exact same thing.
That's what comic books rock.
Yeah. So when I was in elementary school, I told my mom that for science class, I needed a snake to put in a cauldron so that we could make superpower serums. Because that was science, obviously.
Of course.
That's how science works, everybody. That was my, I live in Indiana. That was my childhood understanding of scientific method. Also, when I was in karate class, the instructor was getting asked a lot of questions by this one really annoying kid, so he wanted to stop for a while and get questions from someone else, so he picked me since I had my hand up, and I was like, when are we going to learn to move stuff with our minds? Because obviously that's what you do when you learn karate, right?
Of course. Some serious Jedi shit right there.
Exactly. But yeah, so like I don't know what else there is to really say about episode 3. It's well acted, it's just fun crap.
It's the
it's
schlockiest
fun.
bullshit in the history of schlocky bullshit, but it's amazing at it.
Yeah, it's doing exactly what it's trying to do. You can't call it bad. It's just silly, stupid stuff. And like the cat thing is almost irrelevant to the episode, except for the fact of the payoff at the end. That's the only reason it's a cat, is so that they can get the 9 lives payoff thing for the end of the story. Otherwise, it doesn't really depend on it that much. It's just to get it going and to give it a nice, like, Tales from the Crypt poetic justice conclusion. So if you really can't get past it, it's not that big a deal, honestly. It's kind of like a just silly little thing. Okay, is there anything else to say about it? Like, I don't really know what to talk about with that episode. It's just kind of silliness.
It is silly, but I think it talks about the intrinsic nature of man.
Okay, shut up. Alright, Only Sin Deep is the next episode. And this one I think actually does have some of the political commentary, or not political, but some of the social commentary and stuff going on with it. And it's still like, poetic justice kind of episode again. Milan, I've been talking a lot. You talk about this episode.
It's really, really good. I like it.
A little more detailed than that, please.
It's really, really, really good.
Okay, fuck you. Fucking talk about the episode, goddammit. I need a second to rest my jaw.
Second to rest your jaw. It's one of those things that just, like, you look at it, and I'm like, it's kind of crap, but at the same time not. Really?
I disagree. I don't think there's any crap in it at all. I think it's actually a really good episode. Everything in it is set up really well and paid off really well, I think.
Yeah, it is, but it's just like, I don't know, something about it that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know what it was. What do you think of it?
I don't know, like, do you think you could narrow down, like, what about it might have been, like just kind of the general feel that you didn't like about it, or what?
I don't know. It's just this weird thing that I couldn't keep my hand on, It was just like, what is this? Like, I liked it in a weird way, but I also kind of, I don't know, I guess it just...
I will say that it feels a little rushed with the big time skip that they do. That's a big part of the story, though, but, like, it is a little rushed that she, meets this guy at a party, and then 4 months later he's about to propose to her, It's just one of those things. I'm like, yeah, you kind of...
The pussy must have been amazing.
Yeah, well, she was a hooker. She knows them tricks.
She certainly does.
Because she's a trick. No, but, like, I thought the premise was really good, and this is one of the few episodes where, like, the sex thing is actually kind of necessary, but even so, they do a good job of actually getting through this episode without showing any skin. And it's about a hooker, so that kind of proves that you really don't need to have that nudity thing for a lot of episodes of the show.
Now that you mention it, this episode's kind of classy.
Yeah, in a way. Like, they don't have any tits bouncing around randomly. This, I don't think so. I don't believe so.
I think I'd remember that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, and then there's, the classic irony of, she can have her beauty back at the end, but then she'll be in jail, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, I really like this episode, though. I think everything about this works. I think it's a really well-done story, and everything comes together at the end perfectly, almost.
I get...
And go ahead.
I don't know, like, the whole hooker thing, it's fun and it's delightful, but I'm like, I don't know.
This is like the fantasy version of Pretty Woman, the dark fantasy version of Pretty Woman.
The realistic version of Pretty Woman, just like,
The realistic version of Pretty Woman in which you get to sign a contract to sign over your beauty. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's what happens when you marry a rich fellow. You have to sign over your beauty.
There are a lot of parallels to Pretty Woman when you think about it.
Yeah.
No, but like I think that it's an interesting episode, and I think the social commentary aspect of it is there quite a bit. The whole what makes someone what makes someone successful. What you know the whole line she has. What has she got that I ain't got? And you know she's like him. Well, like what makes you successful? Is it your position in life, or is it your looks, or is it the money you have? What gets you to that level, you know? And I don't know, I think there's some interesting social commentary here also about, you know, the standards that women are held to and stuff.
Yeah, like, and how they don't live up to them.
Oh, thanks, Milan.
I'm joking around. But it's a lot of fun, you know? It's just, I don't know what bothered me about it.
Fun but poignant.
Yeah,
that's poignant. That's what it is. Like, it's got just enough social commentary and stuff that it's a nice little sprinkling, but it doesn't bog down a really quick story. And the story isn't perfect, but I think it's well done enough.
See, now that I hear you talk about it now, and I'm looking at it in a whole other light now, and I hate to be the guy that you win over with your logic, but yeah, now that I'm think about it, it was a pretty good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious to see what you didn't like about it, but if I've turned you, I've turned you.
I don't know, I guess it's just not the acting in itself, it's just the set design was kind of odd to me.
The pawn shop is a little lacking, and I mean, it doesn't have a ton of sets, though. It's the pawn shop, the apartment, and then, like, a couple alleys.
The alleys were great. But, you know, besides...
Yeah, the alleys looked... Actually, I will agree, the alley looked really good, especially the one she shot the pimp in.
Yeah.
I was a little curious why the pimp thing never really came up again, though.
You know.
She just shoots the guy in the alley and then is, like, never mentioned again.
I guess it's just some... You know, shooting your pimp is always a great fun, you know. It's always a great thing to see in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Fuck pimps.
Well, not, like... The mentality of the pimp I find respectful, but the whole hitting women thing I don't really like, you know.
Just in general, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a general sort of hitting women thing.
Yeah, you know, it's
one thing if you're classy like Captain Kirk and then kiss her immediately after hitting her, then you're okay in my book. But just hitting her in general, nah.
You know, like hitting, like it's fun and it's like hitting a really skinny AIDS patient, you know? You just feel bad afterwards.
Okay, stop. This went from being silly to just being mean.
I'm sorry. It was it's fucking whatchamacallit. It's Tales of the Crypt, you know? You have to say this kind of shit.
No, you really don't. All right, so let's go ahead and move on then, cuz I knew we were going to be kind of quick with some of these episodes. Some were going to have more to say, some we wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, I like this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of the season. I think it's the most well done, but I just don't have a ton to say about it. Like, there's a little bit of social commentary, but not as much as the execution episode. And there's some fun goofiness, and it's got all the marks that you want in a Tales from the Crypt episode, and that's all that there is to say. It's a really solid episode for them, with maybe a couple like bits around the edges that are a little rough, but otherwise I think it's fairly good to go.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a nice compact little horror story.
Exactly, and that's what Tales from the Crypt is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on then to the second to last episode, Lover Come Hack to Me. I gotta be honest, I think this is the episode I like the least of the season. How about you?
I kind of liked it. It was a lot of fun.
And for me, this just got kind of it kind of drug on too long because
yeah, it did.
Like, then there's kind of a bit of a plot hole thing. So, like, here's the premise of the episode, or here's the synopsis of the episode, rather. Alright, so con artist marries woman for money. They go to, they're stopped on their way to their hotel because of the storm, so they have to stay in this creepy old house. They go to have sex in the bedroom of the house for their honeymoon night. and then the guy wakes up in the middle of the night and is somehow able to see the past in which his new wife's mother had sex with her husband and then immediately killed him. He wakes up, tells the experience to his wife, and then she kills him. And then that's the end of the episode, really. It's just a really, like, drug... It's an episode that's really, really drug out with acting that isn't very good. And
if it was shorter, it would have been a lot of fun. If it was just, like less than, 25 minutes, then, I don't know.
Yeah, I think if this were 15 minutes, it'd be a bit better.
Yeah.
The problem is it is 15 minutes. It just drags out with those really long sex scenes.
Yeah, the sex scenes are they're early 90s, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's just it really drags out, and it doesn't work for me in that way because I feel like it just it overstretches the schlock.
The schlock element in the ingredient of the episode was a little bit too much. They overdid it on the poor schlock.
No, I don't think it's the schlock that's the problem here. I think the schlock is in just the right proportion. I think it's the smut that's
smut
emphasized.
A little bit of smut sprinkled here and there is great, but when you have too much smut, it's like I just can go read a dirty magazine. Why should I watch this?
Yeah,
and it's
it's one of those things well, don't put story in your porn.
Yeah. It's all about the dick, remember? I mean, pussy.
Sure you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is my least favorite episode of the season. I just think it's stretching too hard, and you can tell it's trying to be on HBO. It's trying to justify that it's on HBO.
Yeah,
HBO is you need more tits and sex. Okay.
Yeah,
here you go.
It's essentially the HBO that the censors point to all the angry moms and whatever back in the day. This is why this is Tales of the Crypt, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is that kind of. This is that kind of thing where it's this is the perfect example of what to point to when it's just overused smut for no goddamn reason, and it's because it's getting to the point where it's so overused that it's actually getting in the way of the story. And that bothers me too. Not because it's just overused smut. I mean, in general, I think that the series does kind of overdo that sometimes, just to try to make itself, worthy of HBO. But I mean, that's still a problem we're dealing with if you watch Game of Thrones with all the necessary nudity that show has, of course.
The Game of Thrones is different because it's as violent and as horny as the real Dark Ages.
Yeah, but no, there's still episodes where it's just there is no reason for that character to be naked. They're just doing it because it's HBO.
Yeah, well, if you have the opportunity to show somebody naked, wouldn't you?
I mean, I guess, but it's just there's a line between when it's actually the story actually warrants it, and when it's just doing it just to take advantage of the fact that it's on HBO.
Sometimes you just want to see some titties bounce around on screen.
Fair enough. Fair point. I cannot deny that part.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just they're clearly just trying to get that HBO level thing. And so, honestly, we're, 20 years almost later, and we're still dealing with... Or no, over 20 years later, and we're still dealing with the same problem. So, I don't know how much I can complain about it, or if it's just something that I guess I have to accept as part of HBO's formula. Every network kind of has their thing. Fox has the asshole characters, House, and just the people who are bastards as their main characters. That's kind of their trope for shows, and
Bill O'Reilly and whatever.
No, not Fox News. I'm talking about Fox television shows. Peter Griffin's an ass. Just stuff like that. You have the asshole characters on Fox, and then you have you have the more family-friendly stuff on ABC. Just every network has its kind of thing, and I guess HBO's thing is needless tits.
Mm-hmm. But God bless it for that, man.
Okay, fair point. So, is there anything you want to say about Lover Come Hack to Me, since you seem to enjoy it more than I did?
I guess I like the tits. Should have been shorter.
There's the clip right there.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think we have better clips, but that's pretty fucking funny. Now, anything else, though?
Should have been shorter, but, tits are great.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then there's
I'm
the
easily bought. I'm really easily bought. Just throw me a...
It does not take much.
Not at all. Not at all.
Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the last episode of the season, which is Collection Completed. And this one I really liked. This was a really fun one.
Yeah, I did.
This was an episode of Jebediah Springsteen right there.
That's true.
Oh god, but his would be more innocent. That's the thing about Jebediah Springsteen. It has to be very innocent, and he has to always think he's helping.
Sometimes I want to strap a dolphin's head to a gorilla body for charity.
You're gonna have to give me a minute. Okay, I think I'm good. Alright. Alright, anyway, so Collection Completed. Another really simple story. A guy retires, his wife has 1 billion pets, and they're driving him crazy, so everyone keeps telling him to get a hobby, and he picks up the hobby of taxidermy, and kills all of her pets and taxidermies them. And so she...
The dream of any man.
Yeah, and so she, to get vengeance upon him, kills him and then stuffs him.
What a bitch. Just really? He kills your fucking dog? Sure, you can leave the cut, but don't have to fucking kill him and stuff him. They're just animals. And I love animals, but I lived in a house filled with dogs, and I'm they would shit.
Yeah, I could see why this would... You probably relate to this episode quite a bit, don't you?
I wouldn't have hurt an animal, but I love animals. I just don't like taking care of them and them being in my house,
Yeah, I could understand that. If I grew up around them constantly, that would get really annoying.
Ugh, just shit and piss everywhere intermingled amongst my toys. Ugh.
Yeah, well, to be fair, though, your mom didn't fucking help take care of the dogs at all. She just put them in your goddamn room.
Yeah, my mom was kind of a sociopath, but I love her regardless.
You're allowed to make your own mistakes.
Fuck you.
Anyway, no, but so this episode it's got all kinds of the charm that you want out of Tales from the Crypt, though. It's it is really another one of those just perfect Tales from the Crypt episodes where even though you see where this is going, it's still so much fun.
Oh yeah. You see it where it's from a mile away. Of course it is. It's gonna end here, but it's coming. And you're just sitting there waiting for the payoff, and it's delightful when it comes.
Yeah, but it's still nonetheless surprising. You knew that he was gonna do something to the animals. The taxidermy thing you'd probably call, but you're still shocked by the fact that he got stuffed by the end of it. Fucking my joke with my dad, and I think I legitimately worried him about this. My joke with my dad is I wanted to get him I told him that when he died I was gonna get him stuffed in a pose, making a scary face with his arms up and his fingers all extended, and then I was gonna put him in my closet so that anytime someone came over, they'd be like, "Hey, do you have a place where I can put my coat?" And I go, "Oh, just throw it in the closet." And then they'd open up the closet, and then there'd be this, stuffed human body in there making a scary face at you.
There's a reason why I like you, Ian.
Yeah, he was legitimately worried I was actually going to do that.
It's I raised a fucking scary, skinny little half-breed fellow.
Yeah.
He's gonna stuff me.
But, the other stuffed human thing that I have that's actually kind of interesting. There's a college, I believe in New England or somewhere on the East Coast, where they a Quaker founder. And the founder's, one of his final wishes, or demands in his will, was that his body be taxidermied and left in the university, and during really important staff meetings, he'd be wheeled in and put at the head of the table. And they have to do it. And their rival schools, like when they have a football game or whatever, and they need to pull a prank on that school, they break into the school and steal his head.
That's the most terrible. This is why I want to visit America. Just like things like that is just like it's some old world type of shit. It's like fucking it's a story you'd hear in Mumbai or something. Just Mumbai or just like fucking. It's like, yeah, of course. It's like it's some tribal shit. We'll steal the head of your dead leader. Just for a prank. I'm like, and I love America. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Anyway, the episode itself, though, I gotta admit, I guess there's like a plot hole in it, in that, like, how did this dude not know she had so many pets? You know?
Maybe
like, you think he would have picked up on it over time.
I guess so, but maybe he's just like, maybe the pussy was just that good.
She was pretty fucking old.
Yeah, but still, those little granny ladies, like, they can rock your world. They have a lot of experience.
Okay, I'm good. I didn't need that image in my head, thanks. Well, who's not having sex for the rest of the month? This guy.
You'll be more.
It's okay. I'll just make Milan think about fucking his mother, and then he'll feel just as bad as I do.
See, anything I say, no matter how horrible and grotesque, I do out of necessity. But you just take it to a whole nother level.
Yep, sure do.
Yeah, and it hurts me psychologically deeply. And
good.
Yeah, you're an awful person. Why would you say that? Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah, so this episode, though, like, you see the twist coming from a mile away, and I don't think there's, I don't know, do you think there's any social commentary in, like, the idea of retirement and kind of just, like, expecting old people to just go away and not be heard of?
Yeah, well, I have an old person here, and it's just like, no.
Could you elaborate?
Old people are annoying.
Okay, then. Fair enough. No, I don't know, there might be, like, I don't think there's enough to really make this argument in full, but I think there is, like, a certain element of, just that expectation that once you're old and retired, the world doesn't want to hear from you anymore, so just go away and don't bother anybody.
Yeah, after a certain while, this does seem a horrible thing, but once you've outlived your usefulness, I think this is how I want to go. When I turn 80 or something, I want to just go to the desert of Australia, take as much acid and mushrooms as I could consume, strip naked and walk into the desert at night, and try to find God. Any God will do, but, if I come out alive by the end of this whole experience, either I would have found God or get bitten by a snake or whatever. If I'm still alive by the end of this whole ordeal, then I'll continue living.
Okay then. No, I think there might be a little bit of that commentary in this episode, but honestly, it's just being wacky silliness at the end of the day, and so that's still fun to watch. I just don't know if there's enough of that here to really talk about it.
Not really. It's pretty straightforward. Guy hates pets. Guys makes pets into fucking dolls or stuffed animals or whatever. And then
I've never really been, I hadn't really been like a huge, animal rights or whatever guy. And then I watched Blackfish and just really changed my perspective on all that. So that reveal with all the taxidermy animals was kind of hard to look at. Because, like, I work at Goodwill and we get, like, taxidermied animals in every so often. I'm just like, I just find it kind of disgusting now. I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like a really messed up thing for a person to do to something. Not that I'm like a vegetarian or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, that just seems overly cruel.
Yeah.
To do to an animal. It's like it just takes away its dignity, you know?
Yeah, it's like I liked you. I liked having you around, and you were alive and moving, and nuzzle my face with your thing. But I'm like, you know what? Now that you're dead, I can't just let you rest. I like your body. I like your matter around my location. So I'm just gonna take all the guts out, stuff you with straw or whatever, and just like stick you on my wall so I can remember you being alive. And you're looking at me with your glass eyes. Jesus.
I'm not sure how I feel about it when it comes to like pets. I can see it, I can be of two minds of it there, but I guess I'm talking more with like hunting, taxidermy in general, with like, you know, hunting animals. Like, it's not good enough that you killed it, but you like fucking skinned it and stuffed it on your wall. That's kind of fucked up.
You might as well make it like if you're gonna kill. Yeah. If you're gonna kill something, at least eat it and make clothes out of its fur. Like, if I ever go bare,
you know,
with my bare hands, you know.
Yeah, like as much as I found Tarzan, the original Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan, to be one of the most racist fucking things I've ever read in my life, but it had moments that I really liked, and I think like the best scene in that whole book was when he's on his way to America to be with Jane, and he's at this like little cafe in Africa waiting for a boat to come, and he's talking with a bunch of like big game hunters, and they're talking about how the lion is really just a coward, and you know, once you get a bullet in it, it just can't run away fast enough, and blah blah blah. And he makes the point, it's like, yeah, well, it's because you're fighting it on unequal footing. If you face the lion on unequal footing, he's definitely not a coward. And they go, oh, so what, you expect us to go out into the woods naked with a knife? And that's it? And he goes, no, piece of rope, too. And then they're like, they laugh at him because they think he's joking. He's like, no, I mean, I'll do it. And they make a bet with him that he can't go out into the jungle in the night, naked, but with a piece of rope and a knife, and come back with a lion, and he does it. And, like, that's, like, yeah, if you're gonna do hunting, go hunting. Don't puss out and, like, camp out in a tree with a high-powered sniper rifle that enables you to kill something from 5 miles away. Be a man if you're gonna go hunting.
Yeah, if you're gonna kill a... Like, what's the point of fighting a giant monster? What is a lion? It's a giant thing with a face and a mouth with teeth and claws that can kill you with a single strike. Like, shooting... Anyone can shoot anything. You can give a little black kid a gun and he'll shoot a bunch of people. You give a little white boy a gun, he'll shoot a bunch of people. You give anyone a gun, it's easy to kill. When you have like a knife or a spear, you actually have to stick it in there, and if you fuck up, you're gonna die.
You have to work at it.
Yeah.
You need consequences to it. A gun is just like this efficient killing machine, and like, you haven't earned that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like I stood half a mile away and shot a big grizzly bear in the forehead. I'm such a man. I'm like I would at least bring a hatchet, you know, and chuck it at him. You know, sure, it's stupid, but at least I'd give it a try. You know?
Yeah. Not that I would go hunting, but I mean, if you're gonna, if it's about like the thrill of the hunt and everything, then it shouldn't be about using a gun. You should be using, you know, a bow or something. At the least, you know. You know, it's a movie that needs to be remade in the modern day.
What?
Most Dangerous Game. That's a movie that like would really work nowadays, especially since like the only version I've ever seen of it was done in, you know, black and white, and they added a bunch of characters and like a love interest and shit, and it kind of fucked up the story. But God, if you made that like straight out the like right off the book, you could do a really good fucking movie. You have all those like isolationist movies where there's really only like one character and maybe like a voice actor or something. I think you could do that with like a duo, like just two characters and nothing else. You know, the first 15 minutes, maybe you get a couple other characters, but otherwise, after that, it's just two guys. That'd be cool as shit.
That's the book where a rich guy hunts a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, like there's a guy on an island, and ships often wreck on it, and so anyone that lands, he gives them the option to, like, he hunts them once they land on his island and stuff. And, like, the original story has the most badass ending ever because, like, the guy makes him think that he jumped off a cliff and died. And so the dude goes back to his house and waits for the next shipwreck. And then the dude sneaks into the guy's house, and in his room, and the hunter like wakes up and sees him. He gets up and like holds the knife, and they like kind of pace around each other and everything. And he goes, "Congratulations, you got in here, and there's that bed. I bet you it's going to be the most comfortable bed in the world if you can just get through me." And then, like, there's this epic speech, and instead of describing, like, an amazing fight or anything, the book just ends with, "It was the most comfortable night of sleep I ever had." Oh, it's the best fucking ending ever.
Yeah, it's great to just, like, I did it. The implication of a cool thing happening.
Yeah, like, you don't even need the description of the fight scene or anything. It's just, like, it's all told in first person, and it just goes, "It was the most comfortable night of sleep I ever had." But anyway, this like, we're talking so much around this episode. Is there anything you want to say about the episode itself, Milan? Because I thought it was a good episode. I thought the acting was actually fairly well done, if not maybe a little too ridiculous.
I like the husband. He's funny.
Yeah, he's good. It's got like that unexpected reveal at the end when she stuffs him. Like, I expected her to kill him as soon as he started stuffing everything. I didn't expect her to stuff him back.
Yeah, but still, it was funny.
Oh yeah, it was funny as shit. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There's something very 13-year-old-y about the Tales from the Crypt books. Like I remember when I wrote stories in middle school and stuff, or early high school, where it's like, yeah, it's just that super violence of the 13 to 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and wrap up then, if you don't have anything else to say about this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you give a score for Tales from the Crypt Season 1?
4 out of 5. Cackling animatronic corpses.
Damn it. Okay, fine. Fuck you. God damn it. I will give Tales from the Crypt Season 1, yeah, I think 4 out of 5 is a good score. I'll give Tales from the Crypt Season 1 4 out of 5 cat life transfer surgeries.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to word that makes sense, but you know what I mean. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Next week, whose topic is it? Shit. Is it? No, it's not yours, is it?
No.
So it's Steve's, I guess. So Steve will have to give us a topic by next week, unfortunately. Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, it's Steve's topic next week. Steve will be back with an idea topic. Everyone, thanks for watching. This has been a pretty good episode overall. I am the Philosopher.
And I am the Madman.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.